Hi, good afternoon. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. In this video, I just wanted to talk about the vulnerability of the system that most of us live in around the world today and compare it with what nature has to offer and why we left that system in the first place and opted for something like what we see and experience and are taking part of today. Before we do, a huge thank you to Leslie and Jennifer, and a huge thank you to Danielle for the support that you pledged yesterday. And if I can, just encourage a few more people to help support us through these coming months at the observatory here. And if you want to, there is a link down there in the description. And we just hope that a few more people see some worth in what we discuss here on this channel, and mainly what we focus on, that is the magnetic North Pole migration. And in a few days, just 5 days time, we'll be taking a look at where the magnetic North Pole is currently as it migrates over the North Atlantic Ridge, and we'll be taking a rate of distance of ease time over that period of the last month. And the reason why we're doing that is because we have noticed in the last 5 months now there's probably around about 20% increase in the distance covered in the average time period. So things are definitely on the move over the Northern Hemisphere. But I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to say, or ask the question. I'm interested in your comments down there below, and I do read all of them. What have we done so wrong to end up where we are today? We're just looking at a very small amount of animals. These are probably common animals that everyone would recognise. You don't need to know what the names are, you probably already know what they are. But the point I want to make is that years and years ago, we were no different to these animals in the way we went about our daily lives. We were gathering food, making fires, keeping our family warm and reproducing. And that's pretty much what these animals do today. And the difference is that we cannot do what they do today because we have to pay taxes, we have to go to work, and we can't just select where we want to live and migrate to that position and build our home and then raise our families. We have to buy properties or rent properties in this day and age. And in order to do that, we need to take part in the monetary system. We are the only species on the planet that does this. And if we was the only person in the room of 1,000 people or 2,000 people or 10,000 people that was doing something different, we would be classed as alien. And nobody even talks about this today. The reason why we left this system original back in the days was because it was getting time consuming to hunt and gather food and bring it back to the village. When we realised it was far more easier to farm animals for ourselves, we therefore had a little bit more time to think about other things. It gave us time, freed up our time. And we went from there. Tools saved us time. And we're at this point in technological advancement, and when we look back at where we was then, you can't help but wonder whether this being the different person in the room or the different species amongst the millions of species on our planet, whether we're actually doing the right thing. The only reason we've been able to get to the numbers that we have is because of the technological infrastructure that we've got. Because there is no way on this world would this world anywhere or any location on this world support the numbers that it does. I've said this before, and if we're thinking about future coming disasters, we need to take this into consideration, because cities are at the most artificial environments what we have created, and they are heavily dependent on technological infrastructure, logistics, energy, gas. And these cities also have to support jobs that require people not to travel too far or within a small commute on public transport to get to the jobs and get back home on the evening. If you look at how much time we are today investing in just being alive, and compare it with how we was living years and years ago, you would say it's hardly got to the point where it is worthwhile participating in this system anymore, because we no longer have the time to think. But just think about that. We're the only species out of millions of species that are participating in such actions that we are today. These animals don't have hospitals, they don't have fire departments, they don't have police enforcement units across the range, MI5, MI6, CIA, NSA, etc., etc. They don't have schools, colleges, nothing like that. Most of it was passed down through, instinct and through hereditary, So I can't help but wonder sometimes when I stop and think about the way the rest of the animals are living on this planet and the rest of the species on this planet is living, whether what we are doing is actually considered. And you're going to probably have the hairs stand up on the back of your neck now. Is what we do actually considered intelligent anymore? Just give that some thoughts. I would love to know your comments. If you could opt out and there was a continent on this planet, would you take your chances and go back to the old ways as opposed to being part of what we are today? Do you agree with me that we are spending more time now collecting monies to pay for just those bare essentials, and isn't it in some terms no better than what it was thousands of years ago for our species? Do you think our species have actually benefited at this point to where we are today because of the systems that we have in place? I think what you would agree is that technology isn't an evil, it's just the way in which we use it and the way that human beings are being manipulated and cheated out of life. If you think about what life is, and I am probably one of those people that have given a hell of a lot of time to the thought about what life actually is and what is the purpose of it. It is all about experiences. And the first experience will be when you take your first gulp of air, and your last experience will be when you take that last gulp of air. But in between that, you can have lots of other experiences. These species don't have borders, they don't have wars. They haven't got ships, aircraft, cars, automobiles, nuclear power stations. They live with one rule, it seems, and that is side by side with nature. Do you know, we would be seen as abnormal if we were that person in the room with 10,000 others that was doing something completely different to all the other species. And just think about that. Because we are abnormal. We're the ones that are doing something different, not in a room of 10,000 people, but in a theatre of 1 billion species on this planet. We're the only ones that are doing these things. Guys, I hope I've given you a bit of food for thought. We're trying to raise some money to cover the deficit that we've rid up over the last 18-19 months here at the observatory, and there is a link down there in the descriptions below. But also, if I can just push you for a little bit of your time, I'd be really interested in your comments on the question: are we doing the right thing today with where we are in this technological advancement as the Homo sapien species? Guys, you have a great evening. Discuss it with your families, and I'll be back tomorrow as always. Bye for now.